So Terence Crawford's trainer, Brian McIntyre, Bo-Mac, legendary trainer, especially now after obviously training Terence Crawford in his training camp against Errol Spence Jr., longtime, friend, kind of like a father figure to Terence Crawford. Bo-Mac was talking about the possibility of Bud fighting Canelo Alvarez, and everyone likes to bring up the weight difference, and everyone was talking to me like I was crazy for mentioning Canelo and Terence Crawford, because in my eyes it was like an obvious matchup after that performance, because everyone was talking about Errol Spence versus Canelo, because we all assumed, not everybody but a lot of us assumed that Errol Spence was gonna beat Terence Crawford, and then we all overlooked Bud and said, okay, now Spence is gonna fight Canelo after he beats Terence. But look what happened. I'm not saying some of you guys, a lot of you guys as well, also picked Terence Crawford, but there are a lot of people that I talked to that were also picking Errol Spence. I picked Errol Spence, and we were all saying, all right, after he gets Bud, I think what's next should be, go to 54 and then fight Canelo, stuff along those lines. But look what happened. Terence Crawford proved us wrong, us Errol Spence fanboys wrong, and he cooked Errol Spence, took him to school and put a beating on him and stopped him. So now we have to give Terence Crawford that same luxury of giving him the opportunity to fight Canelo, because we were going to do it for Errol Spence. I know we all thought I personally thought Errol Spence was the stronger guy physically, but in that fight it didn't look like it. It looked like Terence Crawford was the one that was ready to go to 54, and Errol Spence was, still at 47. Spence looks smaller, and maybe it's because he was weight drained, but let's not make any excuses for Errol Spence. The fight went the way the fight went, and Terence Crawford was victorious, so congratulations to him. But Brian McIntyre was talking about the weight disparity between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, but he said that Bud basically walks around at 168, so that fight would actually be at Terence's best, because he wouldn't have to cut down to 54. He wouldn't even have to cut down to obviously 47, which is already rough for him to begin with. So that's a great fight. I feel like everyone was talking about when I brought this fight matchup between Terence Crawford and Canelo up. I'm not saying it was my idea or anything, but I was talking about it after Bud beat Spence. People were saying, "Oh, there's too much of a weight gap. You're crazy. You're a casual." But that's his walk-around weight. Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, they fought at their walk-around weight, so who's to say Terence Crawford can't do it? So at 68, Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez is a very, very realistic fight. And I think that there's only so many options for Terence Crawford in terms of making a lot of money, the business-savvy road in boxing, and having competitive fights. Combining the business and competition together isn't easy, so there's only a few options that give him the most lucrative outcome, and I think Canelo Alvarez is the pinnacle of that plan in terms of making the biggest fight happen for him financially, and he could win that fight. I picked Terence Crawford to win the fight. I pick him to beat Canelo Alvarez. I think he's too quick for him. I think despite Canelo's experience, especially now, it's going to be, I'm not saying Canelo's obviously, he's on the back end of his career, but you can't say the same about Terence Crawford, especially after that performance he put on against Errol Spence. So despite their age, despite, Bud not necessarily having to cut to 68, which would probably make him the smaller guy, it's still a very winnable fight for him. I really do feel that way. I feel like Terence Crawford, the odds are in his favor against a guy like Canelo. And Shakur Stevenson said it, even though obviously they have a friendship, a relationship inside and outside the ring, like they're basically brothers. He broke it down really well. I think that, he said, I think that Bud would smoke Canelo because of the speed, because of where he's at. He's such a bad dude right now. And I've said this before, a few years back, this is a different fight and maybe a different outcome, but Terence Crawford is just looking good as he's ever looked. So I don't think Canelo's a crazy fight at all. I think that should definitely be the fight that he fights next. If he wants to get Charlo, that's fine. Do whatever you want. But even Terence Crawford said he wants the winner between Charlo and Canelo on September 30th. So that fight better be next for him, especially because he's already made He's done business with PBC and Showtime, so make that fight happen. That's an easy fight to make. So, I mean, you guys tell me, am I off on this? I think Terence Crawford and Canelo has to be a fight that takes place before they end their careers. I think both guys could retire on that note, win, lose, or draw. But, you know, give the fans that one last hurrah, that big mega fight. Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, I would love to see that fight. I think that's a fight that both guys deserve, both guys should want, and there's no reason why it shouldn't happen, in my opinion. You know, Bud's team is behind it. Canelo, I'm sure, would be open to it, fighting the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. Why would you be opposed to that? I feel like it's a perfect opportunity for Canelo, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully he gets the job done on September 30th and we'll get to see that fight. But Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, let me know in the comments what you guys think. I think that's a great fight, and I'd probably pick Terence Bud Crawford. Not by stoppage, but by a unanimous decision. I don't know if he could stop Canelo, but at the same time, like I've said before, I'm done doubting Bud, so who knows what he could do. But let me know in the comments what you guys think. But thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. That's going to do it for another Naz Fight Media video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy, Matt Nabong, with another video. Hope you guys enjoyed it all. Thank you guys for the constant support. Salute to y'all always. It's been your boy.